Welcome back, everyone. In this last module of the week, I'm going to introduce you to convention and metaphor. Now, we talked about it in one of the last modules, but interaction design makes extensive use of convention and metaphor. Because conventions allow for convenient shortcuts and predictable responses, and metaphors help convey concepts without requiring the user to think. A metaphor is defined as a figure of speech in which an expression is used to refer to something that it does not literally denote in order to suggest a similarity. Metaphors make things in the digital space easier to understand because they use references to the real world. It's these metaphoric uses in the digital space that have allowed us to understand how everything works and functions. These references to physical things in the digital space have allowed us to gravitate into this unreal world and become a little more virtual in our everyday life. When we think about metaphoric uses, we really overlook things that we see on a daily basis nowadays, since we've had our exposure to these types of metaphoric uses for many years. Think about the trash can, for example. The trash can was introduced in the 1980s in user interfaces on computers. Now we see that trash can icon as more prevalent in the digital space than we would see it anywhere else. And in this case, the shopping cart has become synonymous with online purchases. But there's no physical shopping cart being pushed around by our users in the digital space. It's a virtual package of code that stores users' SKUs that they have decided to add to a prescribed list. It's the use of metaphor in shopping that has allowed online shopping to become so easy. After this module, there's an exercise that I need you to do on metaphors to get you in that mental space of understanding how prevalent metaphors are both in our daily lives and in the user experience design field. I'd like you to create a list of metaphoric uses in the digital space. And don't hold back. You should be able to get to at least 30 examples in this assignment. To kick you off, here are a few items that always come to mind when I think about the most exciting metaphoric uses in the digital space. Now, a few hints. There are definitely a lot of uses of animals and bugs when we think about metaphoric uses in the digital space. Here are a few that stand out to me. Cloud is an interesting one. Where is this cloud? Why is it referred to as a cloud? Firewall. If we literally had a wall that is on fire, I don't think it would be a very safe digital ecosystem. And one more before I give away the milk for free is file. We use a visual representation of a file and a file folder to talk about packets of data that store important information. And it's these metaphoric uses that have been prevalent for quite a long time in the digital space. So pause this video, and start making a list yourself if you're inspired, or wait till the module is over and the exercise will be next. When metaphors go too far, we have skeuomorphic design. I'm sure you've seen a number of examples like this before. But skeuomorphic design is a metaphor-heavy style intended to surround the user with familiar feeling objects in interactions. Lined notebook paper, wooden bookshelves, raised calculator buttons are all interesting examples of skeuomorphic design. For those that remember the old Winamp application, you'll see one of the earliest examples of skeuomorphic design. That Winamp application, of course, looked like a 1980s ghetto blaster and had the controls that mimicked it as well. And that created that familiarity with having played music offline and made it so much easier for us to play it online in the same way. And if we dial back to 1995 AOL, we see some pretty interesting metaphoric uses in the digital space as we reference visual cues to help us connect user intent with our destination. We'll wrap up this week with a homework assignment. And what better homework assignment to conduct in the structure plane but a card sort? Now we're going to make it easy for you and present to you all of the nodes that need to be part of this card sort. And you'll need to organize VisoCast's nodes into hierarchies. You'll need to provide rationale for your decisions, as well as any research you did either against competitors or third parties or in general research. Either competitors or third parties. And you'll need to submit this in some sort of visual format. And there'll be detailed instructions provided in Blackboard. It shouldn't be larger than 1 to 2 pages, depending on the depth and the breadth of your sitemap. And it'll be due next week. So that's all the time we have this week. I hope you enjoyed your introduction to the structure plane, and we'll see you next time.